you're going to hear a lot of no's, like you're going to hear a lot of no's. You're going to hear a lot of you're bad. You're going to hear a lot of, hey, you should just leave the band and do something.
You should have a different singer or like all kinds of stuff.
You're going to hear all of this kind of stuff. And I think you have to realize that a lot of the time, these guys have no fucking idea what they're talking about. You know what I mean? Like, so you just kind of have to bet on yourself. You have to know what your goals are, know what you're sure of, and you'll see them all again, at some point.
This is Omar from Ghost Cult Magazine. I'm here with Diamond and Josh of Tetrarch. Tetrarch. How do you say your name for everybody who gets confused by it?
It is Tetrarch. So it's the CH at the end makes a K sound. Tetrarch.
Awesome. What's the funniest mispronunciation you've heard?
Maybe our hometown venue back when we were coming up at the Masquerade in Atlanta had our name spelled Tech Art. TECH-ART. But we've gotten everything. Treyarch, Tetrarch, Tetrasit. Like, that was pretty bad too.
Yeah, the worst ones are the ones where it's like clearly they didn't even attempt to look at how we spelled it. They just were like, we're just gonna spell this name however we want to spell it. That's when it's the worst. Like, I don't even know how you could get tech dash art from our name, but they did. So here we are. Luckily, it's gotten a lot better now because
Yeah.
I tend to, for the most part, pronounce it right. So that's the good thing. It took a minute though.
You guys are like, I am familiar with you guys, just a name. I have not crossed paths with you guys yet. I've just kept missing you guys whenever you guys were in New York. I've never seen y'all. So I've, had to do my research and like follow up on stuff that I wasn't familiar with in your discography just to make sure I'm ready for this interview. And I've seen you guys around since, oh, like you guys, your first demo came out in '07.
Yeah, probably. So that's when we were like in school. We were still kids, and like we were just like we started just demoing things at home and like jamming together at home and stuff. So that's like technically like when Josh and I like met as kids, and we were just started, trying to make a real band kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because I noticed it's like that's almost 20 years ago now, which is insane, just insane. And the fact that you guys have managed to stick together and keep a band going, I know how difficult it is to manage other relationships with
Mhm.
people. Your lineup has been fairly consistent for your most of your career, a little, here and there, but you guys have had the same people consistently for a good run, and it's impressive.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just, yeah, it's about kind of like, luckily I met Josh really young, and then it's about just kind of like making sure you meet other very like-minded people. I know a lot of it's hard too because a lot of people say they're like-minded when you meet them. They're like, no, this is what I want to do forever, and then they fucking get married and have kids, and they're like, never mind, I want to go work at UPS. So it like changes a lot, but I do think if you meet like very like-minded people and you have the same goals and like that helps. Let me say that. But we definitely we got lucky with that. We met Ruben when we moved to LA, and since then we've been very very stable. So
Yeah,
we
we
feel
had
lucky.
Ryan, we got Ryan on bass, back when we were in Atlanta before even moving out to LA. So it's, like you said, especially since our debut album, full-length album, Freak in 2017, it's been the four of us that you see.
Yeah.
And congratulations on that. And since this is your third record to guys together, and we're on the eve of your new record, The Ugly Side of Me, coming out on new Napalm Records.
Yes.
Hmm?
Yeah. So let's talk about this record here, man. I gotta say, it has people. I've heard a little. Oh yeah, these are a new metal band. They're a metalcore band. It's like I can't pinpoint it. There's so many. Like you guys proudly wear your influences on your sleeve. I hear elements of like I hear like yeah, obviously a little bit of Corn. I hear some Static X feeling with that. Guys had this weird. You had this cool like industrial vibe to this record, and I was like, ooh, this is kind of cool. Like you guys have very good. You guys have very. It's a full sounding record. It's like here's your instruments, and you have the background ambience to the songs. Like some of them, like they really stick out, and I think it's really. I wasn't expecting that. It's. You guys did a really good job.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
So what's it like now? Like this is since we're three records in 2025. How long after that thing did you guys start working on this? Because I feel like your last record kind of just got caught in the time. back into your like your first record. You know what I mean? Like you have that, you still had that little good bit of time because the world shut down.
Yeah, it's interesting because we had so our last album Unstable, we had gone to the studio in 2019 and we finished it right and shot the video for our first song, I'm Not Right, like a week or two before everything shut down. So, we were all ready to go and we're like, we don't know what to do. So we kind of waited for like a couple months and while the initial shock of everything being shut down was like everyone was dealing with that being home. And then for us, I mean, honestly, we put out our first single from that in May of 2020 and it was just right, right place, right time, right song. And people were home, they were listening to music. And honestly, through the pandemic, we grew a lot as a band. A lot of people found us during that time. So I think the process, part of what makes it look like it was so long between then and the new album here is that we weren't able to tour right away on Unstable. The world was still shut down. So, end of 2021 and then all of 2022, we were touring, we were playing festivals, doing the live part of an album cycle. And then we really started working on this album very end of 2022, but really like 2023. We went in the studio and got what we got now.
Yeah, you got to work with the great Dave Atero. Atero, his
Yeah.
name is. You got to work with Dave. Like, what did he bring to you guys? What did he bring to the record for you guys?
Good. Josh.
I think this is our third record with Dave. So he did Freak, Unstable, and then now The Ugly Side of Me. And I think what Dave is mostly known in the metal community for sure for like extreme bands, or heavier bands, death metal, decapitation, stuff like that. But he has the sneaky good ear for like our genre and for harmonies especially. So I think we have a good working relationship with each other where maybe he helps when we have a heavy part, he knows just the right thing to be like, oh, but if you tried this, it could be even heavier. And then we're also like, what if this part wasn't so this? And we bring it back to Tetrarch. So it's like a really good balance. And he brings a really good big just sonic sound and signature to mixes. So that's something that's always, great with him too. You get really big sounding songs and records.
Gotta say, it does. Yeah, the mix and the harmonies are great, man. I'm not gonna lie. It's like the breakdown, like I'll say, like the breakdown in Crawl. There was that little weird breakdown, spoken wordage part. I was like, what's this? Oh, little double time, half time, kind of. What's going on here? Like that part, that was like one of my favorite. That was like one of my highlights of the record. I was like, that's a sneaky. I just like it, which it was longer.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. I
Thank you.
was kind of hoping for a little extra other little like elements because I went back and I checked out like stuff like Relentless and I was like, oh man, I was like, oh, will we get something like as like fast or something like that? I was like, oh man, like the record we had a little bit of blast beats. I was like, that's the only thing I was like just missing just a little sprinkle of a blast beat here and there. It's like some little extreme parts in there, but you guys are pretty fucking. I don't know if the right word. It's like you guys are just good. That's and you guys make it sound easy because I feel, yeah, I'm a little bit older, so yeah, you guys definitely bridge like a sound from a younger me to like you guys hit like you guys cover like a weird like spectrum of time in your band sound, and it doesn't like I feel like yeah, you're young people like you, older folks like myself like you, and I just think you guys are smart. It's you guys put a very smart style.
Well,
Well,
yeah.
thank you.
I think when we started, a lot of people would a lot of industry heads would disagree, but I'm glad we we stuck to our guns on that one.
Yeah.
Everything that's old, everything that's old is like everything's getting a renaissance. Like, oh man, that wasn't cool 20 years ago. Now it's like, oh man, I love that. Like, no, you didn't. You hated that 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Stop lying. Let's see, what is it? So you guys have two videos with this record. What made you guys want to work with Vincent Corduroy?
Yeah, Vicente, we
Vincente.
he's done a few of our videos now. We did a couple off the last album and then these two. We have same thing with Dave. It's like there's the comfortability and like he has a very distinct style that works well with what we do. Is always willing to try different ideas and we're able to me and Diamond are very, very like hands-on in Tetrarch. So for some people it can be that can seem hard to work with maybe because you're just like, everyone is an artist, whether they're a director or the artist or whatever. So everyone has a vision. So you know, with Vicente is like very easy to like, if he gives an idea, we're able to just be like, oh, what about this instead? Or you know what I mean? So it's just like a good working relationship, just a cool style, and it just works with, you know, our aesthetic.
With the new songs and the new record, everybody's going off about, oh, Diamond is singing now. This is really cool. How soon after that was everybody like, when you're putting out a solo record?
Nobody has said that, but I think they probably know that's like a worthless endeavor because probably never. No. It was just something cool that we've been wanting to try for some years now. And like, before I was always a little like, I was like, nah, too nervous to do it, or just like didn't really want to do it. But this time, in the past, like I've done like some backup or like harmonies and stuff on some other songs. But we finally just gave it a shot with me doing like a couple of full verses on a couple of songs, and sounds cool. It brings something different, like something people weren't expecting, when they listen to the song. They're like, oh shit, is that Diamond? Just something cool, and just to shake things up a little bit. So it sounds cool. It has a cool dynamic. And who knows what it could what doors it could open up there, but it was cool to do, at least for this batch of songs, and it'll be cool to do live too.
You guys sound really good together when you guys do harmonize. Those parts sound awesome. Like I'm a sucker for like album like sequencing. So like to me like the way an album starts to the way it ends, it's like everything's important. And I find like you guys know how to end records very strongly. Like I find like the last songs on your records have all been my favorite tracks. Because like this has like they all have this really cool vibe to them that's kind of like they're just like a really cool like mellow, not mellow but darker, yeah, darker mellow vibe to it, melodic vibe possibly. But and I really like, yeah, the way your vocals flowed on it. It just was, with the title track, it was like, oh, this is cool. It's a song that I think gets should get put on repeat a lot.
Well, that's good.
Well,
That's
thank
the
you.
goal. So
Let's see. Since we're talking about you real quick, congratulations on your new guitar.
thank you. Thank you so much. It's been very cool to have it out in the wild.
I'm a drummer, so I don't know guitars stuff that much. Does all that extra stuff after Monarch, does all those numbers mean something? Is that just their branding numbers, or are they like
No, I
a
mean
bunch of little
something like
hidden
the
notes?
like the EVT means it's the Evertune. DR12 is just like the model like number, Diamond Row, and my favorite number is 12. And what numbers am I missing? To answer your question, yes, they do all they do all
They
mean
mean
something.
something.
They do mean something, yeah. And like there's a 6 in there, like an EVT 6 or something like that. It means a 6 string.
Right, cool, yeah, because number just like confused me. I was like, hey, I just hit stuff when I just hit stuff. This is out of my.
Yeah, no, it's kind of long. It means something. I think it's more for the nerds. They kind of get that, but honestly, I did at first. I kind of had to figure it out myself too. So don't worry about it.
So I want to ask you guys about your songwriting process. Do you guys still write in the same room together? Or is it like, hey, I wrote a song like separate, and you guys bring it to the band rehearsal, or do you guys jam stuff out like the olden days still?
It's a mixture of ways, honestly. It can be we literally had all scenarios on this album. There's songs where maybe Diamond had a full structure of a demo laid out, and sent it to me, and I was like, oh, this is cool, and then I added something and sent it back. Or we have songs where we literally were just like in the same room, like, hey, let's start a song today, and then that what we made that first day ended up being on the album, with some, tweaks and things like that. So it's always different. It just usually will start, me or Diamond will have some kind of idea or kicking off point. It could be just a single riff. You could work all day and just have a riff that sounds cool and be like, well, I got this done today and it sounds kind of cool. And then, one of us just goes off of that. Or, like I said, you could have a whole song structure together. There's not really like one way, I guess, but it always is like, we do take pride in like writing our songs, and it's very important to us.
I found this record very catchy. It's a lot of really good hooks on it. It's like, oh yeah, you figure like all the songs they put out in the video, those would be like the big ones, and everything else would be kind of like, like generic. But I found the whole record to be very, yeah, like I said, there's no filler in it. That's a good word. Yeah, there's no filler in this record. I found every song could be a single.
Yeah, I think we that's always a goal, whether it was Freak or Unstable or this one. We always try to make records where like any song could be a single. our band kind of like walks that line too, where it's like we have heavy elements, but we have like catchy elements as well. So it's kind of like cool that we walk that line because we never really have songs on a record where it's like, oh, that's too heavy to be like a single at all. You know, it could be like a more metal single, but it still could be a single. You know what I mean? So it's kind of cool. It makes it hard to pick singles when it's like that, but it's kind of cool. And we always, you know, we grew up listening to bands that were like heavy or bouncy but had big choruses and like you could sing along to them, and I think we've always like prioritized that in our band as well because that's what we enjoy writing is like really catchy songs, but then you could go into like super heavy breakdown after this super catchy chorus. So it's always cool when people say like, oh, your record's so catchy. You know, to us that's like a, we look at that as a compliment too because we do, and we still are working on trying to write like the catchiest, you know, big choruses we can and still keeping that edge and stuff. And it's a lot of fun to try to kind of figure out how to do that. Like some of our favorite bands, you know, always did.
Yeah, because I was listening to Best of Luck, and it just reminded me that one to me was just like, oh, that just felt like an old school, like late '90s, like 2000s kind of song, just with the fuck yous and everything. It just like, oh, it just took me back to that spot, oh yeah, this, yeah, I could feel this. If I was like a high school kid, I could totally see myself like in school with the writing on my jacket or the Sharpie marks when it's like, oh, this is like, yeah, it's. I thought it was that was very clever. Like,
Well,
guys, sounds
thanks.
like
Thank you.
yeah, you guys are very seasoned veterans, man. That's like, what about this cover? Now, what made you go with like? I don't have the information of who did this cover. Beautiful cover. Who did this cover?
Yeah, it's a guy named Kevin Moore. He did our last like our layout on our last album as well. You know, he we kind of for a while have had this idea of having some kind of bug on the cover. Even when we were recording this album, it was like a moth infestation in Colorado for like 3 days. There was like just thousands of moths everywhere you would go, flying around like crazy. And then one day they just like disappeared and went somewhere else. It was like weird. But you know, bugs are always kind of weird. They're a little bit gross. They're kind of meh. But you know, a revelation we kind of had is like with the album being the ugly side of me. You know, bugs. A lot of people consider to be kind of gross, like I said, or ugly. But at the end of the day, they're just another life form trying to be the best version of themselves that they can be, and that kind of resonated with us as like kind of summed up the album. I felt like you know, there's parts of yourself you don't maybe want to deal with or situations you're in, but like it's about just getting through those things and being the best you that you can. And so it's kind of a metaphor, I would say, a little bit.
The Fly made an appearance in your video, and I was like, okay,
Very good observation.
Yeah.
that's very intentional. I was like, okay, so there's a theme here. I was too dense at the time to put it together, but I was like, oh wait a minute, I see this. Like,
You're the first person who's actually connected the two, strangely enough. So, good job. At least who's told us they've connected the two. I mean, I'm sure they've
Yes.
connected, but
yeah, I mean, just like from the album cover, like just from the coloring of the coloring of the album cover to like the video, it's like they seem seamless, like in a way. Like if I pull back, if this cover was like in front of me, if I pull it back, you would start that video. It seems like they blend well together.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for you know, helping our egos some. You know, we feel like we're doing something right, maybe.
I mean, I understand how hard it is to stand out in the sea of everything coming out at any given week. You know, because I feel like this year we're finally getting albums that should be coming out. I feel like the last couple years it's been COVID catch up. So like, there's been more records
Mhm.
out than to me there should be. Like, there's like, there's too many. We can't have like 200 records coming out this week. There's no way
Yeah.
anybody, unless you have some kind of a name, you're just no one's listening for it. But yeah, you
Yeah,
guys
you
are.
know, you definitely, it's definitely a lot of traffic, you know, but I guess that's part of the game, you know. Gotta. So it's cool in some ways, especially when it comes to touring and stuff. You know, you have so many bands and awesome packages you can put together and stuff like that. But you definitely have to be strategic with when you release things as much as you can be. Like I said, it's probably just part of it, you know, something we have to all work through.
So let me ask, since we're in the world we are now, the current landscape of everything, different now is touring gonna look for you guys overseas versus like
Well, this
beforehand?
is, we're actually going overseas for the first time this
All right.
summer. So I mean, we're, for us we'll be like, "Oh, I guess this is normal." You know what I mean? So we're excited to get overseas for the first time. We have a lot of we feel good about getting over there. We've always having people write us constantly about getting to Europe. So we're super stoked to play some of those big festivals and some shows over there. We're excited to experience it.
So for 20 years, like 20, almost 20 years, you guys have been doing this. What is one thing you would tell younger you to look out for?
To look out for? To look
Oof.
out for always. uh,
Always bet on yourself. I mean,
always bet on
honestly,
yourself. Yeah.
yeah, honestly, it's hard because you do have to have some sort of self-awareness in like your abilities and your talents, and can't be out here bad and being like I'm the greatest thing ever. But at the same time, there's a lot of people in this industry that like you're going to hear a lot of no's, like you're going to hear a lot of no's, you're going to hear a lot of you're bads, you're going to hear a lot of hey, you should just leave the band and do something.
You should have a different singer or like all kinds of stuff.
You're going to hear all of this kind of stuff. And I think you have to realize that a lot of the time, these guys have no fucking idea what they're talking about. You know what I mean? Like, so you just kind of have to bet on yourself. You have to know what your goals are, know what you're sure of, and you'll see them all again, at some point. But I think really, like Josh said, it's just like betting on yourself. You got to know what your goals are. I think that's another big one. It's just like know what you're in it for too, like know what your ultimate goals are. That helps you a lot with how to progress and move forward. This is an industry you get in just for fun. You know what I mean? It's definitely something you get in, to I think a lot of times too, it sucks artists get in it and they're like, I'm just gonna get out here and I want to just play music with my friends. And while that is like the funnest part of it, it's also a business too, and it's a very hard one. And so you have to have your head on straight, man. You gotta, you know what I mean? Because it'll beat you down. So you gotta just know why you're doing this, bet on yourself, and you gotta be freaking tenacious. Shit,
Yeah, and I would tell young us, like no just means that there's a better opportunity coming, because that's always
Yeah.
been the trajectory for our band. It's like every time we've not gotten an opportunity and we're like super bummed about it, we're like, man, this sucks. Why couldn't we do this? And then it's like an opportunity we would have never thought of comes along, So it's just that's that whole just always just keep going. And I think that's what we have. We just always keep going no matter what.
Yeah, it's called the music business, not the music friendship, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I remember Dee Verdi from Overkill, like in one of the documentaries they did for the 20th anniversary years back. He was like, being in the music industry is being able to take a bat to the teeth every day and keep smiling.
Yeah.
That's one way to put it. You definitely, I think we've always too had this like mindset, even like when we were in a van and like sleeping in Walmart. We just always like had this mindset of like, this just a means to an ends. Like this is what we have to go through to get to where we want to go. Like even as like teenagers, doing that, we thought that. So nothing ever like that got us down. Like we were making $0 to $25 at a show, getting screwed by local promoters and all that kind of stuff when we were young. But we always just were like, this is part of our journey and we're gonna rise above it. Like I think we've always all thought that way, and we've never quit or been like, oh, do we want to do this? Like we've never had that thought or anything like that. It was just like, it's all good. We're gonna be fine. You know what I mean? And I think that just always helped us a lot.
Like, yeah, just I don't want to say you got to eat shit, but yeah, you kind of have to just eat shit for a while, and how much can you put up with? Because like as you said like earlier, it's like yeah, some people wash out because like what, I'm tired of sleeping in a van. It's like hey, I kind of want to make more money, and people just lose the passion for being in a band. And that's kind of brutal for some people to accept.
Yeah, I think every
Yeah.
time we found ourselves in like a tough situation on the road in like the early days and stuff, it always ended in laughter. Like it was always like, oh, we ran out of gas again. Like, and we would just laugh about it and be like, well, we'll figure it out. We've always just been like, we'll figure it out. So I think that's like that it
Yeah, and
keeps you from
I think
being down about anything because it's like you're still having fun.
Yeah, I think it also helps too that more than we even say, like we've always had very, very supportive support systems. Like our parents, all of our parents have always been so supportive of what we've done, what we do. When we were young and out there in a van with a trailer, no business being out there, never driven a van and trailer, nothing like that before. First tour, just kids, like we could always call home and like just like say hey, and they always give words of encouragement too. Like we always had to like this like support system that told us like you guys are gonna be just fine, like you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, you don't know how much this is like teaching you, this is helping you. My dad used to always tell us, and it sounds kind of brutal but I know what he means, like he would always be like, just remember this is what you chose. And like to me, that just told me like, you're right. I could be fucking working at Walmart right now. You know what I mean? Like doing something that I don't want to be doing, that I like, not against anyone that works in Walmart and loves it. Like I don't mean that. I'm just saying like we could be doing that, doing something we don't like and be miserable. But yet we're out here and we might have just played a show to 3 people, but we're in the middle of Oklahoma playing a show to 3 people, you know, like hell yeah, we chose this. We're doing what we want to be doing. And like that's more than we could say for, you know, a lot of people aren't able to even get to that point. So like we felt good, like we're out here doing exactly what we want to be doing. You know, we chose this life that we're pursuing. And for some reason that always gave me some kind of comfort. I was like, you know what, hell yeah. Like I'm doing this because we want to be doing this. I'm not being made to do this. You know what I mean? So it's always cool. Like we just always had like a lot of support and just very strong minds, I think. And we just love
Yeah.
what we do. We love it, you know.
We could take like, yeah, there's 3 people at this show, you know, when you're super young starting out, you're like, oh, there's only 3 people there. Well, also like the other bands were there, so like, oh, we're playing to like 10, 12 people tonight, that's pretty sick, you know, like we always would take it and be like, that's a positive, you know, we were never like super bummed or anything.
And we'd be like, hey, the bands are people too. They like
Yeah.
bands. So, you know, like so yeah. We always turned it around into something good.
Yeah, it's like it's nice to hear you guys don't sound jaded like a
No.
lot of people.
I think we try very hard to make sure we don't become that way. Cause like we're around a lot of musicians and a lot of times they are jaded and it just seems so like it's so exhausting to be around that for us because we love what we do. We're so excited about even just like playing festivals still and just stuff like that. We're just getting really excited about playing for fans and like meeting fans and tours and all of that. And it keeps that passion going, you know what I mean? But then when it gets to a point when you're around other musicians, they're like, oh, I hate touring Europe, it sucks, and I hate doing this, it sucks. It's just like, well damn, like I bet it does suck with that attitude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like we just try to have fun. Like we're like going to Europe for the first time and you know we have to like limit our crew a little and stuff like that, and stuff that like we're not used to, but at the same time we're like, hell yeah, we're going to Switzerland, this is gonna be sick. You know what I mean? There's just like a lot of things that we're really excited about too for our first time there, and we always just try to find the positive in it. You know what I mean? Like we just always try, because at the end of the day, it's like, look what we get to do with our life. You know, we make a living doing this. It's incredible. This is what we dreamed of when we were 12. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So we're really excited about it. We stay excited.
I think it's might be a part is I think part of it is you guys are from Atlanta, so you guys are more just you guys your mindset's a little bit more relaxed than us northern New Yorkers who are like go go go, or California people who are like it's always sunny. I'm gotta find something to be angry at. You know, it's like you guys you guys just have a like a nice like oh you guys have a chill mindset, and I gotta say that's kind of refreshing to see people just you're like, yeah, just some people know how to roll with the punches and some people don't. Like I've noticed, like, yeah,
Yeah.
you play New York City bands and shows here are like one thing. We're all like spoiled. But you know, back in the day when the before the Chance closed up in Poughkeepsie, you know, the same band would come there and the show would be 10 times more energetic because it's like, oh wow, we're not New York City. You guys came to our town. Everybody was just excited to see a show up there, no matter what. I'm like, wow, I see the same show, maybe the same market or it might be a different market, but like, oh, cool, the same band will play there. I see you like a week ago down in New York. It's always better.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We found playing like we love playing everywhere, but there's some cities that just stand out, and a lot of times it's like in the Midwest, man. Like, you know, you'll play New York and like LA and stuff, and it's cool. Like shows are good or whatever. But you play freaking well, nothing tops Denver, Colorado ever. But you play like freaking Oklahoma City or like actually whenever we
Even
play, what's that?
even Poughkeepsie, we played up there. I remember, and it was a great show. Honestly,
Yeah. When we play Jersey, like even compared to New York, like we played where was that we played with the Trey, Josh?
Was it like Starland or something like
Maybe
that?
Starland or something like that. Like shows are awesome. Like it's always really cool outside of the big cities too, you know. So especially for our genre, those kids just get down. So
Yeah.
Cool. Well, as we get ready to wind this down, guys, thank you both for your time. I appreciate it very much.
yeah, no
Oh,
problem.
thank
I have
you.
to ask you because I ask everybody at the end of our interviews, what was your favorite song on the record? Because it's just nice to know.
Like I said, I go for the title track because it's the last song on the record, and it's like there's a repeat. Like I could put this song on loop over, and that's
Yeah.
usually my thing. It's like let me just dim the lights down, just put this song on, and I could just like vibe out to it, and that's what gets me nowadays. I love the crazy fast technical songs like everybody does, but give it a nice slow one, and like, oh, it has a cool vibe. It's got like a really cool mellow, dim the lights down, and just if you smoke, smoke. I don't smoke, but I could
I
just sit there
was
and be like,
about to
yeah.
say.
Everybody thinks I smoke. I'm just a straight edge guy. Sorry.
No, it's all good, man. That's awesome. Well, thank you. I appreciate you telling me.
No problem.
Yeah.
So, what do you guys have coming up next? You said you have a European tour coming up. What else do you have? Anything domestic?
Yeah, we go overseas for the summer. Like you said, the Euro festivals will be announcing some more European dates around that, hopefully this week. And then after that, yes, it'll be a lot of American touring. So that's currently being worked on, and we're really excited about that because it's been a minute since we've toured our homeland. So we're excited about touring America too, and that should be pretty much most of our fall. So more news on that too at some point. But yeah, I think now that the record is coming and going to be out, big focus on a lot of touring. Like Josh said, especially since with Unstable we did some, but because of the pandemic we weren't able to do like a ton. And we look at touring like our bread and butter. Like we love touring. We're a touring band. We love playing live. That's like just what we've been doing since we were kids, and we still love it. So we're looking forward to just really giving this album its due and touring and getting everywhere that we possibly can.
Anything to add, Josh?
No, I think she said it pretty perfect, honestly.
And there you have it, Josh and Diamond of Tetrarch. Thank you guys so much for being here, and enjoy the rest of your evening. And I'll see you
Thank you.
when you hit New York.
Thank you. We'll see
All
you
right,
soon.
thanks. Bye.
All right, bye-bye.